Finally, it's Tuesday, so let's talk about it Tuesday. So I think I just have to admit that no video of mine is gonna have a theme, and I've been trying to do it, but I'm a spontaneous being. Because my week has once again been pretty bland, I haven't gone out with anybody, I haven't done much, so I thought I would just share something that I read in my Bible and some of the notes that I took from the chapter I read. So I was reading Joshua this morning, and I'm trying to read the book itself. It's something that the Lord put in my heart, and I was reading Joshua 8, but I just think that so far I've only read 8 chapters, and I think so far there's a lot of stuff that's just super interesting. Like one of the things that I found super cool is that the first thing that the Lord addresses to Joshua is do not be afraid. And the first thing he tells him is that I'll be with you like I was with Moses, and that he can make his ways prosperous if he follows the law. And I mean, Joshua in no way is anything like Moses, because Moses was freeing the people of Egypt. I mean, he was there, he freed them, and he was supposed to lead them directly to the land, but instead they just ended up like walking around for a while. And sure, they did face adversities, like they did have to fight and stuff, but this is completely different from what Josh was doing, because the Lord had no intention of taking the people to the promised land with Moses, but with Joshua, that's his only intention, taking the people to the promised land. And Joshua isn't leading the people there. Essentially, he's fighting his way into the promised land with everybody else. Also, we can see in the Bible that Moses completely did not in any sort of way want to be the people's leader. And in Joshua, we don't see it, him complaining. We see him immediately getting into duty. It said right after the Lord gives him the do not be strong and courageous, do not be afraid speech, like Joshua immediately, it says that he went and started commanding the officers of the people. And probably in a way Joshua could have complained, like the Lord could have been like, my son, be strong and courageous, don't be afraid. And Joshua essentially could have been like, are you serious? Acting skills on point, right? But we don't see that from Joshua. We don't see any complaining. Instead, we see him just immediately start getting to work. Like, he tells the officers, go and tell the people that we're actually this time for realzy, getting our land back. And the officers, they tell him, listen, just like we listened to Moses, we're gonna listen to you. And the officers themselves even tell him, only be strong and of good courage. Talk about confirmation, man. Oh my gosh. And the coolest part is that the Lord told him, just like I was with Moses, I'm gonna be with you. And he kept his promise, because you know what? The Lord split water for Joshua, just like he split the Red Sea for Moses. It said the Jordan, yes, the Lord split the Jordan in half, just like he split the Red Sea in half. And not only that, but the Lord presented himself in the form of a angel army commander, in front of Joshua. And when Joshua realized it was the Lord told him, take off your sandals, just like he did famously with Moses. I just think it's so cool how the Lord customized everything so that he would have a relationship with Joshua like he did with Moses, but it's not the same relationship, because essentially they weren't the same people. Moses by nature was not born to be a leader, but God kind of pushed him and motivated him to do that. You can see in the Bible that Joshua's just a natural born leader. He was born to lead the people of Israel into the promised land. You can see a bunch of times in the Bible that the Lord speaks to him, and he speaks to him like an army plan, but only a little bit of it. In Joshua 8, you see that they're about to attack the city of Ai, which already previously attacked them beforehand. And I won the last time that they fought. But like this time the Lord was telling him, like, you are gonna take over I this time, like, I'm promising you that. And he tells him, only take the spoils and the cattle. And then he tells him, lay an ambush for the city behind it. That's all he tells Joshua. He doesn't tell him how, like, what else to do once you lay ambush to the city behind it. He doesn't tell him how to set it up. He doesn't tell him anything except lay ambush to the city behind them. And that's all Joshua needed. All that Joshua needed to know was, what spoils can we take and how do I go about, like, attacking the city. But the rest was all in Joshua's hands. And essentially, Joshua comes up with this awesome plan to, like, get an army in the middle of the night the day before to go behind the city where nobody would be able to suspect them, and then in the morning take a bunch of people and attack that army from the front. Once those people in the front went to attack, the city would be like, oh, here comes Israel again, and send people to the front. Everybody left the city and attacked the people in the front, and those people in the front evacuated. And once those people evacuated, like, the people in the back of the city went and set the whole city on fire. And they killed everybody. And the people in the front, once they saw the city was on fire, were like, oh, now, like, now we're coming for you. And they went and they slayed everybody. But essentially, the Lord didn't tell Joshua that. He just gave him the inspiration for that. He told him, like, lay the city in ambush from behind. And that's all Joshua needed. And Joshua came up with this great plan because Joshua is a natural born leader and Moses wasn't. I'm not bashing on Moses because, to be honest, Moses depended on the Lord so strongly that the relationship was stronger than anybody else you see in the Bible. It's really one of the most beautiful things ever. But Joshua was a born leader, you know? And Joshua also depended on the Lord. You see it over and over that God just tells Joshua, do not be afraid, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous. And I think it's because Joshua needed to hear that. I think it's because Joshua second guessed his natural ability to lead people. And God constantly needed to encourage him. And I still have a long way to read, and I'll probably see something else that'll blow my mind like this did. But essentially, I think I just learned that even though we have a natural talent for something, we still need the Lord beside it all the time. Even though Joshua was a natural born leader and commander, he still needed the Lord to encourage him every step of the way. And I think a dependency on the Lord is necessary for life in general. So I hope you kind of enjoyed that. I hope you kind of liked that. I hope it made you feel as awesome as it made me feel. And I hope you have a good rest of the week, Andy. I love you and have an awesome day.